The Davis College is growing American chestnut trees for members of the West Virginia chapter of the American Chestnut Foundation. We are currently in a germplasm conservation orchard in Parsons, West Virginia. That's a big fancy word for Native American chestnuts. And so we're trying to conserve the genetics of American chestnut from West Virginia.
So chestnut blight is caused by the chestnut blight fungus, Cryphonectria parasitica, which we study here. Cryphonectria parasitica is a fungus that causes a canker disease. So it will enter through wounds in the bark. This fungus will enter through one of those tiny holes, and then it will produce an acid which kills off the living parts of the tree, and then it will eat those living parts of the tree. And once the fungus makes its way all the way around the entirety of the trunk of a chestnut tree, it will girdle it, so it will effectively kill off the top of the tree.
And the chestnut blight fungus, when it was imported into New York City in the late 1890s, found the species that had no resistance. So over the course of about 50 years, we lost 4 billion trees. And one chestnut tree produced 12 bushels of chestnuts. So when we lost all those trees, we lost a lot of mast for everything from blue jays and black bears to chipmunks and everything else. And so in the 1980s, the idea was to begin crossing American and Chinese chestnuts. And those would be 50% American and 50% Chinese. Those trees were planted out, and we used a back cross breeding technique, meaning that when those 50-50 trees grew up and flowered, we took flowers from those and back crossed to pure Americans.
So these nuts were collected by chapter members with the West Virginia chapter of the American Chestnut Foundation. Chapter members collected these nuts in the fall when the nuts were falling. They were put into a mix of peat moss and perlite that was slightly moist into a refrigerator over the winter so that these nuts could produce radicals. They're the first little roots that come out of the nuts.
And now they're being distributed, so we're passing out 3-month-old seedlings that you saw in the greenhouse to produce germplasm conservation orchards. So these are going to be planted all across the state, from the northern panhandle, eastern panhandle, over on the Ohio River, down in the southern coal fields. And people say, well, aren't these trees all going to die if they are Native Americans? And the answer is yes, because these are blight-susceptible trees. So even though they're growing well now, what you can see behind me here is a tree that was originally put in and it died. And the tree is now sprouting because American chestnut has a propensity to sprout. Had it not had that propensity to sprout, it would be an extinct species probably. But it's really a prolific sprouter. And so even though you have a dead stem in the middle, you have all these stems coming up. So we're interested in the flowers that will develop on these trees from these Native American chestnuts. And we've done that now through about 6 or 7 generations. And so now what we have also planted here at Parsons is an orchard of these 100 trees, which we think are the best of the best. And so the flowers from these trees will be used to pollinate those trees when they flower, those advanced hybrid chestnuts. And the idea then is to produce a tree that has sufficient resistance to survive in the forest on its own.
The purpose of this entire project is to ideally reintroduce the American chestnut into our eastern forests. American chestnut was one of the most common trees here in our eastern forests, especially in West Virginia, and provided food, tannins, lumber to the people who lived here. It was often actually referred to as the cradle to grave tree because you were likely to lay in a cradle made of American chestnut and a coffin made of American chestnut. It was that common. And they're also locally adapted. So the idea of these trees is that they are trees who have evolved to live in West Virginia and in our ecosystem. So they will be naturally adapted to perform better in our forests.
This was a tree that mountaineers lived with and built their houses with and ate the nuts from. So being a mountaineer is partially being in tune with American chestnut.
As a West Virginia native and a Davis College alum, this work has been really important to me. I was lucky enough to work on this project as an undergraduate in the Davis College. As a West Virginian, it's It's a big part of our heritage. We're the only state that's completely within the range of the American chestnut, and the only state that's completely within the range of Appalachia. The American chestnut range tends to follow those mountains. And it's a beautiful symbol of resilience, not giving up, and just the desire to keep trying. This tree really should have been wiped out 100 years ago, but because the root systems are so powerful, because the root systems have so much energy in them, they're able to continuously sending up shoots year after year, even though they continue to be killed off by the blight. Because of that, I think it's a great symbol of resilience that can resonate with a lot of West Virginians.